how you define fine art is very subjective. Myself, I define it as having a purpose. You know, art should transcend just aesthetics. It should have meaning and it should have direction. And so for me, it's that wildlife first ethos. That's what makes it fine art. But within that, there is definitely an aesthetic level. You know, so you are trying to achieve something which lasts generations. You know, this should be an heirloom piece. This should be a piece that gets handed down from generation to generation, and then their great-great-great-grandfather hung it on their wall. You know, it's something that really stands that test of time. That's how I see my pieces, and hopefully what that does is inspire generation after generation after generation, and I like that. You know, I see my daughter looking at my pieces and knowing that she's going to grow up that, and hopefully she sees these elephants and sees these lions, and she falls in love with them. That helps foster a care for wildlife, and maybe helps her be part of the solution and not part of the problem. Calmness is what I'm trying to achieve in every single shot. I hate the idea that we are trying to villainize wildlife and trying to sensationalize it with teeth and, you know, ferocity. I think it's a very low bar way of grabbing people's attention, and it really demonizes wildlife. And I'm trying to do the opposite. You know, I'm trying to make people fall in love with wildlife. So I'm always looking for these moments of serenity, calmness. And when you get out to these environments, particularly out in the Serengeti, it's just a maelstrom of wildlife. All this different visual chaos. Trying to select those moments of simplicity in amongst all that chaos, that's where the art comes in. And just trying to narrow it down to the individual vignettes. My view about my photography is that I'm showing a window into the wild, and I'm very much showing my experience. You know, I want people to feel like when they see my images that they are seen through my eyes. So it very much is a feeling. You know, when I feel almost overpowered by a moment, that's that moment that I want to share. I think back to when I very first picked up a camera, and I failed on every level to convey the emotions that I felt of seeing these incredible things. And I realized that's the power of photography. Your ability to create and recreate the same emotions that you felt. And so whenever I have that moment wash over me, that's the moment I want to capture. It's very vulnerable, showcasing your art to the world. What has been an entirely personal experience up until this point suddenly becomes public, and you are showcasing something that meant something to you and suddenly gets judged objectively by collectors and the public and media. So it's a vulnerable moment. I think that's important. At the same time, there's something about it which will always be personal, and it's hard sometimes to give that away. They are beautiful animals, aren't they? The black markings on their face, they act as basically as natural sunglasses. They reduce the glare of the sun. And if you see baseball players, you know, often they have this black paint under that. It's the same concept. You're a wildlife lover first and a photographer second. We've got the rain hitting the roof, and we're just, 3 meters away from a cheetah. So, photo or no photo,